about 40 minutes till dinner time to briefly talk to you a little bit about an upcoming television show known as Phenomena Project. We first started in 2014 doing this show. We've got one flagship documentary, which is a special about an hour long, and then 5 episodes of season 1. You're probably going to ask the question, why does it take from 2014 to 2017 currently just to produce 5 episodes and 1 flagship? Because this TV show is a little bit different than any other TV shows that you're likely to see are the subject and studies of the field of the paranormal. What we are attempting to do is to film and capture real phenomena as it happens under scientific scrutiny. And that is the reason why we spent so long having to just come up with a few episodes. I mean, if this was, for instance, Most Haunted, we'd probably have about 6 seasons out by now. But as you can well imagine, it is such a rarity that we believe that certain paranormal phenomena takes place under certain conditions. And it's not just a matter of it happening, it's got to be replicated and tested, and this is why it's took so long to produce it. Okay, so first what we did is send it out, see what people thought about the project. I mean, we were quite surprised. It went out on the Examiner to 60 million people in the US. We all pretty much got 5 stars right across the board. When we sent it to the head guy of Discovery International, the first thing he said is, forget it, wasting your time on the subject of the paranormal, it's saturated. There is no other TV shows out there now that really is going to be fresh. In fact, believe it or not, they were even considering at one time to doing a naked in the dark paranormal show. Can you believe that? Seriously, it's true, absolutely true. So it just goes to show that it was completely, utterly saturated market. We sent him the trailer, he wrote back to us and he said, absolutely fantastic, there's nothing like this. Because what it represents is the true and proper format of paranormal investigation, the results obtained, and under scrutiny, and under scientific observation by credible people in the subject. I'm going to briefly outline just two of the cases that we've done, which we thought was very much genuine, the phenomenon was taking place. This particular case, it took place in Leicester. It did appear in the newspapers, and this is the problematics of things. Media always ruin paranormal stories. You know, they make it entertainment value. They put a lot of lies in there, understandably. Usually the red top papers are the worst. But nevertheless, though, what was interesting is that a priest had visited this location, and we started off by interviewing a priest who'd apparently claimed to have witnessed phenomena in the house whilst he was there, which was interesting. So we kind of took it from that angle forward. Some of the disturbances that were taking place there were quite profound. I mean, things that we don't often see or get the opportunity to investigate. I went along there and we conducted about 2 or 3 months of investigations backwards and forwards, and we believe there's still the odd thing taking place at the location. One of the significant things that took place there is drawing a locked-off camera. When I say locked off, in other words, it's in a room where there's no human agencies, there are no people in there. The rooms are sealed off with special security tape, so there's no way anyone can open that door without us knowing, because you'd have to break the seal. And what happened was, the camera took 3, this is on motion detection, the camera took 3 images within 6 seconds. So just over a period of 6 seconds, something happened in the kitchen. Enough to shunt the movement of this particular camera and leave an anomalous trace on the actual film. We're looking at this band of blackness. We don't know what that is. It isn't an overhang of a cupboard in the kitchen. The second photograph, you see this strange, swirly black mass. You can see it gets darker as it gets down here. It's some type of wispy movement of something that actually caught the camera, something that was managed to trigger the motion detection. And again, on the third photograph, the camera's shunted and takes the photograph, as it should do, motion detection in movement. So looking back, you can actually see shunted, moved, shunted again. Right. And that was it, just 3 photographs with no explanation for it. We don't know what was in there, it was in a locked-off condition. And what was very interesting is that people have said, well, you know, it's a hoax, it's a fake. It isn't. It's a real photograph. But people have suggested, oh, it's something being thrown around in front of the camera. Okay. It isn't. We actually looked at these under analysis. It's all the hundreds of hours spent on these particular photographs. You can see the trace marking of 6 seconds between all 3 photos. And I thought, okay, we'll go to town. And we sent it to quite a number of individual specialists in the study of photographic analysis. And we looked at angles, trajectory, lighting. What could this anomalous thing be in the middle of the photograph? 3 photographs, 1, 2, 3. We know what it isn't. It's nothing just being waved around in front of the camera, because under experimental conditions of replication, we can find that we cannot replicate the image by throwing things across the lens in front of the camera. And this is an example of it. As you can see these black lines, this is things being thrown around in front of the camera. We're trying to replicate it at the end of the day. What happens is the flash on the actual camera causes a duplication. So what you're getting is this black band, which is a wire being spun around in front of the camera, triggers the motion detection, takes a photo. But in the background you can see the shadow of that, because the bouncing of the light source hits that wire and casts a shadow in the background. So we know there was no secondary shadow on the first original photographs. We've gone through all the angles, obviously with the movement. We have no explanation. This is how the camera was set on the side here with an auto flash on motion detection. It shouldn't have moved in a locked off location, so with no explanation. So that was one of the first things that took place whilst we were there. Some of the other things that have been reported there were that they claimed, the couple, that they were being touched. Things, the typical scenario of paranormal things, you know, hearing voices, hearing sounds, things moving around, bangs, and then it escalated to them being touched, hit, hurt, apparently on a number of occasions. What was interesting is some of the recordings that we took there. Now, we're sponsored, the whole TV show is sponsored by Olympus, and there's a reason for that, because the sound equipment and recording equipment that we use is absolutely top notch with Olympus. Plus they can check their own machines, plus they know the capabilities of shielding and transients, and they know what is a normal sound it should be capturing and what should be a little bit unusual. They kind of would help us out on the analysis of these anomalies. 2 different recording devices at that particular location. They're marked up, the sign on the back, they can't be replicated, they can't be changed, not swapped. They're formatted at the time, there are no memory cards inside them, so no duplication of files can we go over. These are also double checked 2-3 times by independent observers. We're working with an empty device. We record in a silent environment for 10 seconds and we obtain vocal responses on these devices. And we're not talking just things that might be pareidolia, things that you think, oh well, what is that? Could that be a voice? We're talking voices which are no different than mine. In fact, we sent them to a specialist in America, in Canada actually, and he wrote back to us and said it's very difficult to work out whereabouts the EVP is because one of the investigators who's talking, is it in the background? We said, no, the person talking is the EVP. That was a significant difference. In fact, the terminology EVP is even wrong in regarding how it's obtained on some of these occasions. I mean, this isn't just, just random sounds that you might think is a voice. These are vocal responses. Some of the analysis on these vocal responses are quite amazing. Now, we know that the human vocal range, we know that females have a slightly higher than men's, reaching a pitch of 255 hertz, maybe 260, 270 of opera singers. Some of these are coming in at 316 to 340 hertz. That's well above the human vocal sounds. We know how the ear works, because as you're listening to me now, your eardrum is vibrating. It's picking up signals, it's passing down the ear channel, and where liquid and hairs are, and it's interpreted into signals which your brain puts together and works out what's being said. In this case, what we were considering is, are they harmonic? Because whatever's being recorded on the devices, we are not hearing. Why aren't we hearing them? But yet the recorder's playing back, and you can hear it on there. So we assume, okay, it's not harmonic, because if it was in the harmonic range we'd know, we'd be hearing it. Sometimes people do, and that's kind of, sometimes people refer to it as direct voice phenomena, but this is a little bit different. We know that the human range and how the ear works, but something significant was happening, because on one occasion, which led us into a new theory of research, recorders were running, and we had what we refer to as a direct voice phenomenon. So sound that came out of the air. Now what we did is we said, hang on, don't tell me what it is, let's all write it down. And we all wrote down the same response. We heard a female voice talk. There were no females in that environment, there were only 4 other investigators. The recorders didn't hear it. They're right with us, the sensitive recorders. Some of these are so sensitive, when they're linked up to parabolics, they'll pick a pin drop up at the back of this room. They seriously will. And they didn't record a thing. But how did we all hear it? So is this another phenomena that could be associated to what we refer to as the paranormal? Do people sometimes hear voices in the air? And if it is it really imagination? Is it really a psychological condition? Or is there sometimes something a little unknown about it? Some of the recording devices set on the day. Now here's a typical test scenario. Recorders, multiple recorders, in an environment, just as it is now. Can't hear any talking, no? Exactly. 10 seconds recording, 3 devices running. When you play them back, you've got a female voice on recorder 1, a male voice on recorder 2 saying something completely different, and pops and strange clicks and sounds on the third, when really all 3 should have just been recording hush. Because on the test ones, you just get hush. But when conducting the experiment, we had 3 different results across 3 different pieces of equipment, simultaneously at the same time in a silent environment. None of which were harmonic because we didn't hear any recordings. When we played them back though, we got them. What's that telling us? It told us that we need to start looking into the subject and theory of transplacement. That something, whatever that question mark is, we might refer it to the paranormal, there might be other explanations for it, but something seems to have the capabilities of targeting individual equipment. Sometimes it's not as matter as just somebody randomly walking around and picking up an EVP. Sometimes it would seem that these are directly placed onto specific pieces of equipment. And if you can do that, is there a possibility that the specific individuals can do the same thing? Now we know that from studies, there's something referred to as the cochlear implant, okay, which is allowing people with hearing differences or problems with hearing or not had any hearing to have the capabilities of hearing once again by implant straight to the cochlea, bypassing the eardrum in a sense of speaking. In other words, these people can hear without them having the eardrum to vibrate. Same thing as what we refer to as transplacement. When we heard something, heard a female talk, and none of the recorders picked it up, remember? So we're doing a series of studies into the field of transplacement. What we do know is that what we are picking up is not transient. We've had it shielded, we've had it Faraday caged, we've had it sealed in a plastic container 2 feet buried underwater and still got loud vocal responses. What's most interesting is that many of those responses have been in association to the questions we've asked. That's when it starts taking it away from the EVP and into the actual voice phenomena. This is moving more back to the older days of instrumental transcommunication where it all started. It kind of all started with instrumental transcommunications with old radios and TVs and things like that. However, as time's gone on, it's moved into the EVP, electronic voice phenomena. But when you've got voices coming out of the air, no electronic devices are required to record it, or obtain it, or produce it, then we lose the whole thing of EVP. Because it's not an electronic voice. Because it wasn't electronic, we heard it out of the air. So, I thought that was going to be the bee's knees, that case. Of course, there was even more, because some of the things that were being reported were quite unusual. Now, I have done some studies into what I refer to as similarities to self-induced spontaneous physical marking, SISPM. Bit like stigmata in a sense of people, because the power of belief is so strong that we can actually, the physiological side of our brain takes over the process of the body. The psychology rules the physiological. We believe so strongly that we're going to have these markings that they appear. In this case, we came across a partner who had this mark on his body, and many people said it looked like a handprint with fingers and the nails on it. Of course, the position of it would not have been his own hand unless he'd slept on his partner's hand. What was interesting, it lasted for 4.5 weeks, and it never faded until one day it just disappeared. We managed to take photographs over that duration of period, but at this time he was off work and he was very ill due to the things that were going on in the environment, and unfortunately, a couple of months later he had a massive heart attack and he's still in hospital in a vegetative state, unfortunately. We don't know if there's any association to that. It could be just purely coincidence. But these weren't the only markings that were appearing up. They claim to have been hurt, punched, pulled, scratched. Markings appeared. Now, what I was saying before, is it a form of, you believe it's something paranormal is going to do it, it's going to do it. Because it's going to cause markings to appear on your own skin if you believe it enough. Yes, there's a possibility that could happen. We do know when stigmatics, quite a number of them realised many years ago when we came up with enough research to say Christ may more than likely have been nailed through the palm, through the wrists as opposed to the palm. In fact, a lot of the phenomena did actually move. And what's that tell you? It tells you it seems to be some type of belief-driven anomaly, which we refer to as stigmatics. But these are the markings that appeared on the bruises, scratches, being held down in the bed, fingerprint marks causing bruising. Apart from that, there was physical phenomena taking place in the building. Spontaneous incendiary effects. Sometimes just things just seem to burst into flames for no apparent reason. This picture frame just suddenly burst into flames. Corner of the table, bits of chairs, just tiny little outbreaks of burning incendiary conditions. Apart from that, apart from the physical noises, the physical phenomena took place, the incendiary conditions, the audible disturbances, we would say, okay, if we can find each and every one a certain type of rational explanation for that, it would still be encompassed as the reference paranormal. Somebody would say, oh, you live in a haunted house, it's as simple as that. But there was a little bit more to it, because what we're trying to do is, we are trying to break it down. We do not want to refer to this as paranormal phenomena anymore, because instead of it covers so much paranormal phenomena, we want to look at the little bits it makes up of, the little pieces of the picture. Because when we look at the little bits, which is known as paranormal mechanics or paranormal physics, then we can start to build the picture from the other way. And I think it's about time we need to look the other way around. Looking at the little pieces might give us the better picture, as opposed from the whole picture altogether, because you know, you have to face it, at the end of the day, there is a lot of rubbish out there regarding the paranormal. There's a lot of fake, there's a lot of hoaxing, there's a lot of untrue stuff, there's a lot of bad research. And unfortunately, that doesn't help with parapsychological research. Now, I've been involved in parapsychological research for too long, I can't remember. 1983 I started in the subject. And I lectured alongside Professor Catherine Watt a couple of weeks ago at the Scottish Society of Psychical Research in regards some of the findings in the second case, which we went over to Seattle to do. And this was, again, very similar type of phenomena was taking place in this building, but, again, there are a few things that are slightly different. The building, it's only 10 years old, not an old building, on a new housing estate, known as the Timbers. And the person who was living here was claiming quite a number of things. Now, I went with Nick Kyle. He was my independent observer. Nick Kyle is the president of the Scottish Society of Psychical Research. We went there and we witnessed phenomena with no explanation for the things that are happening, apart from, if you want to refer to it as paranormal. The true thing is regarding such things like this, after working in this field for 34 years, we believe true, absolute true paranormality is an extremely, extremely rare phenomenon. People misidentify it. They overthink it because of belief systems. It gets mixed up with folklores, tales and myths, and legends and all sorts of things. But there is a true paranormality out there because we've witnessed it. It's measurable. It's replicatable. It is. But the unfortunate thing is that it's in the field and not the lab. Because I've always argued the point, if you're going to investigate, for instance, an Arctic fox, you need to go into it in its environment to investigate it, because you're going to get true statistical research. You can't take it into the lab sometimes because it's not going to act normal. I think we have to take parapsychology and what we do and the stringent side of research and scientific endeavours that we have and try and have a halfway point where we do have the capabilities of conducting scientific methods and research in the field. Because it is extremely rare phenomena. And sometimes people can spend a lifetime in a subject and not witness a thing. These are the things that have been reported. Rooms being trashed, turned upside down. Cupboards and drawers. It's like a stereotypical paranormal film, isn't it? I didn't believe it when I went there. In fact, I said to the guy, if I find you hoaxing, I'll discredit you. And that's how nasty I can be, because he's not going to waste my time. I'm going to fly all the way to Seattle. He's going to waste my time, my expenses, my money, and all that effort I have to do to find a hoax. So I said, I will discredit you. And I would have done. But when I did get there, I did realise there actually was things going on. His girlfriend Tina has been scratched on a number of occasions. She happened twice to her, and then she left. She was out of there. Left Keith alone in the house. Now, there was a duration of time when he was going downstairs into his kitchen and smelling burning. Now, you know, like most of us, nobody wants to smell burning in a kitchen, do they? No. You know, you start to think, oh my God, the cooker's going to go up, or something's burning, what left on, and all that. But it happened. This was going on for 3 or 4 weeks of just this odd smell of burning now and again. And he never really could get to the bottom of it. He looked around, he made sure his windows were closed, he looked outside, someone was burning rubbish. That wasn't the case. Sometimes he smelled it at night. And over a period of time, he realised one day, when there was quite a little bit of smoke in the air, that he might have targeted where it was coming from. He believed it was coming from this crucifix, which was on the wall. And it was only when he lifted that crucifix up, he started to see an imprint in the wall of where this crucifix was. And you can actually see it burning the wall slightly underneath. But when we took it off, there was almost a shape there. Now, what was causing that eccentric condition, just similar to the last case, we have no idea. No idea. But of course, we've got to see things happen. We've got to witness it ourselves. It's got to be measurable and replicatable. He reported, like many poltergeist cases, electrical disturbances, electronic phenomena as well. The telephone would ring for no apparent reason, TV would switch off. Lighting in his house was suddenly all dim. The whole electricity in his house was sometimes all dim. In fact, it went off once for about almost 4 or 5 minutes, which he ended up making a phone call. And apparently they checked and everything was fine. It kind of burst back to life. But many times, rooms would just flicker. The lights would flicker so fast. They had no explanation for it. It was just flickering. And I asked him, you're going to have to give me something. I need recordings. We need evidence. So we put him on a system where he could monitor, and he did it very well, and record. And this is left in his back room. He's downstairs watching television, and the recorder's actually filming. We've got a few of these episodes, but just one of these episodes where the lighting is just flickering randomly on and off for no apparent reason. It's only 10 years old. It's been the electrical survey of the house has been conducted twice, and once whilst we were there by ourselves. No explanation for it. Now, what also is interesting is that this particular light, which was on the wall in the hallway, upstairs, landing hallway, there was nobody upstairs, there were 3 of us downstairs, and suddenly we heard a bang. I looked over at Keith. Keith said to me, I know what that noise is. I said, it's not the first time this has happened. I wasn't aware of that. So we went up, cameras in hand and things, and of course this light, which was 7 foot 3 inches from the hallway up on the wall, was now down on the floor. But looking at the resting place on the wall, the hook was leaning upwards. So it couldn't have slid off. But it was a type of nail he'd use where it hooks in, and you can't even pull the light off, because the head of the nail fits in. You've got to lift the device and literally pull it off to drop it on the floor. But that isn't the interesting part. The interesting part is our recorders, our parabolic microphones and everything is all recording simultaneously. And at that time, it recorded the bang. It recorded that sound falling on the floor, which was really interesting, because we can go back and look at that sound wave and see what it generated. Now, what was different here is that when we decided that had happened, we decided to replicate it. Let's get the device at the same time it would have been on the wall and drop it on the floor and see what sound it generates. Not the same. That was what was very interesting. Now, we have seen this before. Dr. Colvin was another gentleman who put forward some very interesting studies in regarding poltergeist rappings and how they seem to scientifically differ from normal rappings. They might sound the same to the ear, but they don't register the same. In this case, a massive difference. In fact, the sound that brought our attention to this device falling on the floor in the hallway upstairs when it fell resonated around about 69 decibels, which is we thought was loud. In fact, we even made a comment, because you can see it on video. We said that was loud. We didn't expect this small thing to make such a loud bang when it hit the floor. But on replication, it was only 32 decibels. Why was it almost twice as loud than the original replication? How does that happen? Was it done to amplify throughout to our attention, or is it a generated sound? Is the sound not even real? Is it manufactured by something unknown to try and get it right, and it doesn't get it right? We don't really know, but these are all the aspects of paranormal mechanics, of paranormal physics, breaking it down, looking at what each bit consists of. It was interesting when Keith told me about these cameras. These cameras, the Wi-Fi cameras, if you pick anything up motion detection, they relay back to his laptop and goes ding, and he goes, oh, I've caught a picture, because motion detection cameras picked it up. These are facing the front door, because occasionally the front door would open and close, and on the alarm system, it'd say, front door open. He has one of these vocal things on his ADT alarm. And in fact, that happened whilst we were there. And also whilst we were there, we came back to find the door actually open, when in fact it should have been in an alarm state, the alarm, and it wasn't. The front door was open, and it was still in its locked position. We still don't have no explanation for that at this moment in time, but what was interesting, this particular camera, we got the spec on. What happened was, we were sat around this table for 40 odd minutes in discussion when bing, the laptop detected from this camera, a photograph was sent to his laptop. It had picked up something on motion detection. What had it picked up? We looked at the photograph, all we could see was a wall. We couldn't see no image. What have we taken a photo of? Where's that camera key? In the front room. So we go down to the front room. The camera's no longer pointing towards the front door as it was. It's now pointing 180 degrees away, pointing at the wall in his lounge. Now, according to the specifics of the camera, during movement of 12.5 milliseconds, what it should have done is, if it moved from point A to point B, no matter what source, it would have transitioned. It would have created a photograph in transition. It didn't. It just took a photograph once it was in its resting place facing the wall. How does that happen? How does it go from point A to point B so fast that the camera didn't pick a photo up in transition? We don't know. But then are we thinking, do these objects really do move 180? Or do they simply just go boom, boom? We don't really know if it's an apportation to asportation, spontaneous arrival to spontaneous disappearance. We don't really know. We haven't got those answers. It's speculation, it's theory. But what we do know is that there's enough evidence to say, and even under replication we couldn't do this, to say that photograph must have been taken when it registered, it moved, and it only did that once it was in its resting place. So how it got from point A to point B without taking a photograph in between is still a mystery. Holes appeared in the walls through projectiles, things being thrown around the house. Yeah, we were actually going so fast, blasting, candles, ornaments, you name it, that they were in fact burying themselves into the walls. He was paying hundreds and hundreds of pounds or dollars out to contractors to come out and fix walls because of holes in them, because of things being thrown around. Things would crack, break, come home, things are busted. In fact, that little piece of wood, which he had to stick on there, was actually leaning against. He came home from work, he put his television on, but what's leaning against the television at the bottom corner of the screen is this piece of wood. He picks it up, he thinks, what the hell is that? He realises it looks a little bit like the doors of his house. Goes around, finds a big gap on his bedroom door, and that's where it comes from. Well, it was interesting where he located it. Now, when I say about some of the vocal responses, we've gone so much further than the EVP, the electronic voice phenomena stage, because we've got to the point where it's almost like your instrumental transcommunication. We ask questions and we get answers. Sometimes we get random remarks which don't seem to make any difference. What they are, we don't understand them. Sometimes they have accent. In fact, we've recorded a lot of Irish accents. We came back with 236 gigabytes of information, 427 recordings of vocal responses. 28 of them were classed as actual voice phenomena with responses to questions, and 3 direct voice phenomena straight out the air. That was a lot. I mean, I've been in this field for 34 years. I don't get to see that very often. So you can imagine my surprise to witness a lot of these things. Audible phenomena. Does the sound working? I'm going to point at the screen. What happened? We had even an invasion over the video cameras. We're filming with video cameras. We've even got invasion on the footage of the video. Now, we didn't know this. We come back and put the cameras off, and we're watching the video footage, and all of a sudden, what the hell is that? There's a noise there. It isn't me speaking. It isn't how the other guy's speaking. There's a guy on there that sounds like he's saying, it's a camera, it's a camera. As if they're trying to, someone is trying to identify a source of a piece of equipment we're using, or referring, or telling somebody else about it. It isn't us. But what is interesting, it's there on the cameras, we didn't even know. And that prompted us to look through a lot of our other footage, and we started finding things. I've already brought a few examples. I'll point around this on the screen, like so, when you'll hear, it's a camera, it's a camera. At this moment, myself and Don are upstairs. We've got a task cam. Maybe they were trying to identify that. It's a task cam, a funny looking device, a recording device. It's not a camera, it looks like one. And he's just talking to me on the stairs saying, has he got his memory card in it or not? And then he says, no he hasn't. I go, oh God, I'll go downstairs and get it. And just as I'm going downstairs, he says, oh no, I've got it in there. He turns it on, places it down, and that is when you hear a voice come in and say, it's a camera, it's a camera.
Okay, Steve, let's go out 5 minutes, and what we'll do is we'll put this recording unit in one of the rooms and just leave it. We'll see one of the rooms. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it here.
Yeah.
Because this will capture then sound from here, sound from there, and also even sound from down there. Okay, so I'll just power this up. That was me. So we're going to have to do this.
Where is it?
I've got to put it in there, hold on. Wait, it isn't here. Sorry, it isn't here. I'll do this again. I'll do this again.
You hear that? It's not our voices. It's from the voices wasn't even there. Why is it on our piece of equipment? Is it bleed over? Is it somehow got caught onto our devices through malfunction? So we'll go and look across all the other video cameras. Completely different video camera this time. 2 voices, sounds like female. The first one says, I don't know why, I love her. And the second one is very interesting because this was the 3rd take I had to do. All I had to do was go out of the door and come back in. I'd done that 3 times wrong, can you believe it? It won't be very good at filming. But nevertheless, though, the 3rd time, it was just simply easy to understand that maybe there was some reference to that second section there on 3. What does that mean? Is that something to do with what we were doing? Interesting though, and I'll point again. Female voice invading.
Straight from that, come out. We're going straight out. I've got a lighter. Oh, Steve, so we need to go out together.
Again, no explanation. Well, these are multiple cameras. In fact, we had 16 cameras and they're all across all 16. Random vocal responses, right from your GoPro type cameras to the professional, high professional filming cameras. No explanation. Examples of audio phenomena.
I hear some rings.
I hear some rings. No idea. Irish accent. Absolutely confirmed. Don't know. Two of us speaking. He cares for us. We've no idea what these vocal responses are. What we can say is what frequency range they fall into.
My name is Barry Fitzgerald and I'm a long-time researcher of the supernatural and a world traveller. Don Phillips and Stephen Mera forwarded me some samples of EVPs they captured on one of their cases and asked for my analysis. I found it interesting when breaking the samples into various frequency ranges that the male voice, which can be clearly heard in the EVP, actually appears stronger in the higher ranges and away above the ranges of the normal human male or female voice.
Well, like I was saying earlier, some of these are falling in 360 to 360 hertz. They're not, and sound like a human vocal, but they're certainly not being picked up like one. So just as the ear might refer to, I've heard a voice, is it really a voice, or is it something, some type of anomaly that can generate something that sounds like a voice? So the differences in research. Now, also on this particular investigation, by habit, what we tend to do is we do a 12 or up to 12 minutes, up to 12 seconds, sometimes 2 or 3 seconds, a little bit of filming in every room when we get there. Just so we get an idea. We do a little piece of film and then click one photo. Next room, little piece of video, click, photo. This actually almost went unmissed, and we have no explanation for it, because I remember at the time I was the only one in the location. This is the location where I was stood. The light source is a light source here. You can see the angle of light. And I'm stood there. Nobody to my right, nobody to my left. Don's in the kitchen with Keith, I can hear him talking. And I take a little piece of video and then snap a photo and move on. That almost got missed because it was only after the investigation some months later, I realised when I was looking at a photograph on my phone, oh, I've got these photos, I forgot all about these little video pieces of photos on my phone. What was interesting is that this is the video piece. Now you can hear Don talking to Keith in the kitchen. There's only the three of us there on this occasion. The photograph I took was that. That's the video. That's the photo. Video, photo, video, photo. Now what also is really interesting about this particular photo is the light source. Look at the angle of lighting. You can see the angle of lighting because of the light source. We can see, well, you can see with the table's over here and that's over here, but it doesn't measure up to the lighting source. Whatever this thing is on the wall, and I don't like to reference words shadows and shadow people, because I've never really got anything like that before, but it looks like a person. It's the shape of a person, it looks like a shadow of a person, but there's no person there. And yet it does not fall into normal characteristics of lighting conditions in that environment. Now you know as well as I do, to cast a shadow, you have that lighting source associated, and it isn't associable to the shadow. So we don't know how or what the anomaly is. Another one was, this is also quite interesting, Keith reported vibration on his bed. What do? High vibration detectors, very sensitive vibration detectors, and locked off that room. It's completely sealed it off. No windows open, door can't get in because it's sealed off with special high security tape. And we placed one here, on the bed, on the underbed, and one on the bed frame.
Very sensitive, very high sensitive vibration detectors, which I'm going to be placed. One just here and one on the bed frame as well, because of reported vibrations. I'm going to leave them as they are, as you can see. And I'm going to shut the door, and I'll seal it off.
And we did. We locked it off. The results? We went into alarm about maybe between 35 and 38 minutes later. Alarms went. We went upstairs, unsealed the door, walked in, and that's exactly how we found it. Snapped the photograph. It's still in alarm state that this photograph is taken. It's on the floor, a foot and a half away from its resting place, upside down in alert mode. How does it move? How did it get there? There are no vibrations, no loud trucks, no trains passing by outside. It's a nice quiet estate. There's no kids playing out. There's no wind. There's no unusualities in the environment. No windows open. In an environment, there's no human agencies. In a sealed-off location, there is no... It deserves a scientific explanation. As Nick Cowell said from the Scottish Society of Psychical Research, it deserves a scientific explanation. What was interesting is at that point, where it landed, that location left a footprint. Now, we'd already tested for EMFs in there. There were nothing. No, not even the normal 1.2, 0.2 background radiation. Completely flat. But for 3 hours and 48 minutes, it left a footprint of 9 milligauss just where the incident happened and nowhere else. Why did it do that? And how did it just fantastically disappear? With no apparent reason. After 3 hours and 48 minutes of being 9 milligauss, there was no drop, it just went bang off. We replicated under the same conditions at the same time with the same electricity, the same heating and all that. We did not replicate it. No explanation for it. We also did a stroboscopic motion detection test. This is theoretically new methods of research into how the eye oscillates, its movement, its frame rate, conducting tests using stroboscopic lighting and taking photography under those, under motion detection cameras. And we left it running. And we did get anomalies on them. And we don't know what they are. Looks like hair. Something in front of the camera. There's even colour there. Some people say it looks like a pair of lips. But there's even colour there. We don't know what that is. We have no explanation for these things. Whatever it was enough to trigger the response of the cameras. That particular case is, if I had another hour, I could probably tell you all the other things that took place, the research that was carried out, the priests that were involved, the police that were involved, Fox News that were involved. It was just incredible. The whole place is absolutely amazing. If you want to know more about it, you can get further details on the internet, known as the Seattle-Washington case. It is also in print in a book called Fire Whispers. I know I've got a few with me at the moment. And if you want to know more a little bit about the cases that we're covering in the Phenomena Project, phenomenaproject.tv is the place. We're pitching it at this moment in time. It's definitely for the UK and the US. And it's going to be a little bit different because it's going to be showing people in the field of paranormal and parapsychological research and the confirmations that, yes, some things really do go bump in the night. Thank you very much.